from there.
Sounds good. We're live now.
We need everyone to mute their phones or their TVs so we don't get feedback.
Phones and everything muted, absolutely, please.
So we have everybody in now, Brian?
Yeah, the other meeting is now canceled, and I invited them all to come to this venue, so they should all be in or on their way.
Can you confirm when they're all here, or do you have that ability? So I know I won't have to keep asking you.
Okay, Tracy, the only two people I don't see on roll call right now are McCamey and Yeager.
Okay, as far as roll call, we're not going to take any roll call actions in the public hearing, but for those two commissioners, just click on present on your roll call system, but it's not required right this second. We're going to still have a public hearing. We're not actually checking in for a regular meeting yet. Okay. So is everyone here for the public hearing that you can see, Brian?
It looks good.
No, we don't have the applicant, Jimmy Brubaker. Let me see if I can call him.
As far as
Commissioner Wandale,
Yes, yes.
how many people can you see right now?
That's a good question. I see, let me expand my box and probably help me out a lot. 25 is what I see.
Okay. See, I only see you, Mr. McCamey, Brian, Mr. Mead, and Mr. Fritz, Commissioner Fritz. That's the only ones I see, but I don't have to see everybody, but that's why I was curious that there could be more in the room than what I was actually seeing.
there are 33 people in the room right now.
Okay. As soon as Mr. Brubaker gets on, I guess he's the applicant requested. He's doing. Mute your phone. Go ahead.
Okay, Brubaker is here.
Okay, we're going to get started with the public hearing, starting back right now. I apologize to those in the public hearing and the zoning, our mistake. We were under misunderstanding that we'd all be together. Many of the commissioners wanted to attend the public hearing and listen in to what's going on. So we're going to reconvene the public hearing now. And Vice Chairman Anderson, please pick up the public hearing, start from the beginning so we all can be here. Everybody be sure to mute yourself, turn your televisions down, don't get feedback. Commissioner Anderson, please start your public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We're calling to order the public hearing considering the rezoning of the property located at 187 Sequoia Road, Andersonville. The property was recommended by Planning Commission to be rezoned from R1 to C1. And during the public hearing portion, which we're doing over, we're just going to hear, I'm just going to hear the comments from the public. We won't take any action until we report on the meeting a little bit later. We're just to recap.
Does anybody have any questions or comments that they'd like to ask? Mute yourself if you're not speaking. Go ahead.
We're having some feedback issues here in this room. Sorry, just one second. Okay. If anyone wants to make a comment, we'll hear the comments now. We won't take any action until the report a little bit later. Danny, if you're in, do you want to just recap real quickly what the property is being rezone to and what the, what's being considered to be located at the property?
Yes, I'm here. The property is, they are endeavoring to go from an R1 to a C1, which is, there's pretty stark contrasts in those two zonings. But what he's wanting to do there, the location of this property, it's a pretty good idea. He's wanting to create boat and RV storage. And of course, you're on the way to the lake right there. And he's working with Alex McGrew, an engineer, on doing a site plan. And there's 15 standards set forth in the zoning resolutions when it comes to self-storage. And so he would have to meet all of those standards and comply with the site plan by going before the Planning Commission. And we have sent out all the proper public notification. It's been posted. Letters have been sent to all contiguous property owners. Personally, I haven't gotten any response from that. And Mr. Brubaker had talked to one of the neighbors there that joined. The way that the property lays, I believe it's really the only neighbor that butts up to him other than the fire department that's there. And he didn't have no issues with what Mr. Brubaker and Mr. Wright, who's potentially buying the property, are endeavoring to do.
Thank you, Danny. Does Mr. Wright or Mr. Brubaker or anyone in the public want to speak?
Hi, this is Adam Wright. I actually spoke with a neighbor across of Sequoia as well, in the neighborhood back in there, and he actually thought it was a great idea as well. So besides those two houses, there really aren't any other neighbors there. So.
Thank you, Mr. Wright.
Thank you.
Ms. Dabney, did you want to speak on this?
I think it's a great idea for the only concern is the traffic that you're going to bring in, the roads and all that, the river there. So it's already an issue. You have to go on Sequoia Road, Park Road, that you have to come to a complete stop depending on how wide the road is. So the good part would be that if they're storing a boat there, then they only have 3 miles to stop at. With the narrow roads, and then getting them in there because you have that sharp curve by the fire department. I don't know exactly how that's going to work. So that's really the only concern is the width of the road, and how they're going to manage that stuff. Is how it's going to affect all the traffic. The ideas are the traffic and the narrow roads.
Thank you. And real quick, I just wanted to comment to Danny that I'd received a phone call about someone who'd seen the signage on the property and didn't have an opinion one way or the other. They were just curious, but I just wanted to let him know that the signs were working well up there and had good coverage on that. So wanted to thank Danny for that. Does anyone else from the public want to comment on this? Any commissioners that are joined want to have any questions or anything for Danny? All right, well, this concludes, Chairman.
Sorry. Yes, sir. Chairman Anderson, could you just read the heading of that, property location, address, and things? And then if no one else has any questions, we can get started.
Oh, sure. Yes. The Anderson County Board of Commissioners will hold a public hearing on April 20th, 2020 in room 312 of Anderson County Courthouse to consider an amendment to the Anderson County zoning resolution to include the rezoning of the property at 187 Sequoia Road, Andersonville. A copy of the proposed zoning amendment is available at the Planning and Zoning Office of the Anderson County Public Works Department, signed by David Crowley, Anderson County Building Commissioner. and this was recommended by the planning commission for rezoning. And Danny had mentioned earlier that all the contiguous owners had received a certified letter, and the property was posted.
And it was posted. Go ahead, Jay, I apologize.
Commissioner Anderson, this is Commissioner Waddell.
Yes.
Hey, have you received anyone who's been opposed to this?
No, I just had one comment that someone was just curious about it based on the sign. So I haven't received any negative comments personally.
Okay. I've not received any comments on it either, so thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else want to comment?
And it was posted for the allotted time need required.
Yes. Okay, this concludes the public hearing portion of County Commission meeting.
Okay. Brian, we got everybody checked in on their iPads. If you haven't checked in, commissioners, please go to your iPad and mark yourself present.
I've got everybody except Yater, Bill Yater.
I'm in here. Brian, I'm in.
Okay, thank you. Guys, let's make sure we keep those microphones muted.
Microphones and TVs. I think the TV is what gives a lot of feedback.
Now that we're all in here together, we shouldn't need the TV.
Brian, this is Jay. Do you mean the public can't see this?
No, they can. Everybody can see it.
Okay, thank you.
He's almost here.
Okay, under the appearance of citizens, will a citizen be able to speak?
Yes, Jay.
Thank you very much.
Tracy, you got all of your users on roll call.
Okay, everybody is checked in according to Brian. Before we get started, I just want to thank everybody for your patience. I know it's difficult, but I appreciate all the commissioners taking training and getting ready for this meeting, and we'll go slow. If you got a question, please do not hesitate to jump in. That's not only for the commissioners, but the department heads, the mayor, law director, whoever needs to speak, feel free to speak up, raise your hand. We're going to go through this agenda the best we can. This meeting is being aired on Channel 95. It is meeting the criteria set forth by the governor of the state of Tennessee under his executive order for doing virtual teleconferencing meetings for this COVID pandemic. So we're all checked in, ready to go. I'll lead us in prayer. Commissioner Meade, do you have your flag handy still to do a pledge? Thank you, sir. If you don't mind, let's go to the Lord in prayer. Heavenly Father, we come to you again in sincere appreciation of what it is you do for us individually, our families, this great county. We ask that you bless this county and continue to give us the health and the wisdom we need to move forward healthy and securely as we walk with you, Lord. We appreciate our first responders, the EMS, the Sheriff's Department, all the frontline workers, all of our staff in the courthouse, and all of our employees and their families that have continued to work through this COVID pandemic. We appreciate all of our employees. So, Lord, just keep a hand over us and help us through this meeting as we deliberate the business of this county to the betterment of this county and continue to move forward. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, we'll do the pledge now. Commissioner Meade, unmute yourself. I'll mute me, and you can go, sir.
Please all join me in the salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Meade. Appreciate that. Next, we're going to have appearance of citizens, just like normal. If you are a citizen and you'd like to speak on any item that's not on the agenda has been posted on the website, and I believe on Channel 95, but I know for sure on the website it's been made available prior to this meeting. But if you have an item you'd like to speak, please step into the room, state your name, your address. You'll have 3 minutes. Go ahead. Have anybody, Brian?
Nobody's requesting.
Okay, if somebody speaks up during the meeting, please let me know and we'll make time to let somebody in if we need to, okay? Next, we'll move on to approval and correction of the agenda. Now, commissioners, at this point, as you know, you'll be able to use your voting to request to speak or make a motion or whatever you need to do, okay? So now it's approval and correction of agendas. We'll start with the consent agenda. Any corrections to the consent agenda or a motion to approve as presented? Have a motion by Commissioner McCamey, sir. Your motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you, sir.
Second from me.
Thank you, Commissioner Yeager. Any discussion on the motion to approve the consent agenda as presented? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
We need to do a vote.
Okay, we'll do a vote. I don't think it's required, but we'll do a vote. Just motion passes 16 yes, unanimous. Jay, is it going to require a board vote on everything we do or just the items that are going to require a transfer of monies?
Mr. Chairman, the comptroller's regulations require a roll call vote on everything we do in an electronic meeting. I'm sorry, but that's what's stated, and we're fixing to pass that resolution here in a few minutes.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Meade. Thank you, Commissioner. Let's get ready to dub you a commissioner there, Yeager. All right. Consent agenda is done. Regular agenda. Have a motion to approve or any changes. Commissioner Meredith, you have something, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to have ASAP of Anderson County under the law director's report as item F.
Have a motion to add the ASAP permission under item F. Under the mayor's, did you say the mayor's report or law director? I'm sorry, law director?
Law director.
Yes, sir. Do we have a second to that motion? Commissioner Scott? Or, so Commissioner, I got a couple things here. So Commissioner Isabel, are you making a motion for the same item or is it something separate?
No, Mr. Chairman, I was just going to second it, but it didn't come up with the prompt to second.
I got you.
Since he made the motion, I'm going to go ahead and second.
Sorry, Commissioner Meredith, is it okay if Commissioner Isabel keeps his motion and Scott, the seconder of your request?
That's fine.
Okay, any discussion on that motion? Let's go to the board and vote. Yes, is to add item F to the regular agenda. Have 16 yes to add item F for ASAP paving. It is now added to the agenda under item F. Is there any other items to be added to the regular agenda? Commissioner Fritz.
It's going to be very brief, but under the new business, the East Swift Valley Convenience Center.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Fritz. Commissioner Fritz, do you have the ability to push your motion button? Okay, and then a second by Commissioner Yeager to add the East Wolf Valley Convenience Center and under new business. We'll go to the board for that.
I'm not. Okay.
I still see a vote open for Robert McCamey.
There we go. We're all locked and loaded now. Motion passes 16 unanimous to 0, and that is to add the East Wolf Valley Convenience Center under new business. Any other items to the regular agenda? I know there were some questions. I apologize. We're going to have to do this through the motion process. Any other questions to the regular agenda? Commissioner McCamey has a motion. Go ahead, Commissioner McCamey, what's your motion? I'll come to you, Yeager, next after I hear his motion.
The grant extension that the mayor has requested, I'd like to add that under ASAP.
Thank you, Commissioner McCamey. I think that may have been Commissioner Yeager's request as well, as I see he seconded you. So you'd like to add that under the mayor's report? Is that what you said, Commissioner McCamey? I apologize.
Yes, that would be fine.
Okay. Let's go to the board and vote on that. Was there any questions? We'll go to the board and vote on that. Commissioner Yeager, Commissioner Jameson. Oh, wait, excuse me, Yeager, you've already voted. Just Commissioner Jameson, vote yes or no on adding this item under the mayor's. Thank you, sir. 16 yes, 0 no's. Motion passes unanimously to add the Health Built Environmental Work Plan grant extension as item 3 under the county mayor's report. Any other items to the regular agenda that we'd like to add or discuss? Okay. If we're all set with the agenda, I'd like to have a motion to approve as amended. Commissioner McCamey, that's your motion, sir?
Yes, motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you, Commissioner McCamey. Commissioner Meredith seconded that motion. Any discussions? Let's go to the board. This is to approve the regular agenda as amended.
The board is a lot faster than a roll call vote.
Thank you, Commissioner Meade. You're correct. And thank you for keeping me in order earlier. Okay. So we have the regular agenda passed, unanimous. Now we're on to the public hearing report by Vice Chairman Josh Anderson, sir. Please give your report for the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We held a public hearing to consider the rezoning of 187 Sequoia Road in Andersonville from R1 to C1. And we heard from the property owner and the individual purchasing the property and the property surveyor. Danny Phillips reiterated that the contiguous property owners had received a certified letter and that the property had been posted for the correct period of time. And we need a motion to approve that for rezoning.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion by Commissioner Meade, seconded by Commissioner Fritz. Any discussion on the motion in front of us as presented by Vice Chairman Anderson? Go to the board and vote. Yeses for the change of the, we'll have that in front of me. You've already read that off, I believe. That's for the public hearing rezoning property located at 187 Sequoia Road, Andersonville, Tennessee, parcel 779.0, tax map 05 from R1 suburban residential to C1 general commercial district.
Yes.
Motion passes unanimously, 16 yes, 0 no's. Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Anything else, sir?
No, Mr. Chairman, that concludes the public hearing report.
Thank you, Commissioner Chairman Anderson, for the job you've done. I apologize for the confusion on our part. Thank you. Next, we'll go on to committee reports. Purchasing report by Catherine Ashbury, Deputy Purchasing Agent. Catherine?
Tracy, I don't see Catherine any longer. She was, no, look, she's there. She's there.
Okay, well, I'll just give her a few seconds here to get unmuted and join in. While she's getting on board, I'd like to say to Commissioner Isabel and Commissioner Denenberg and all the commissioners that have done stuff, but especially those two individuals who have gone above and beyond for helping our EMS and Sheriff's Department with the PPE equipment, protective equipment. Thank you both very much for all you've done, and it's very appreciated. And I also say appreciation to all those men and women out there, mostly women, doing PPE mask and providing for our folks around the county. I'm very happy to see that. Thank you all. Catherine, get in yet?
No, I still have an X on her at this moment.
Well, I'll tell you what, is Robbie ready? If he is, we can go to Robbie, and if she gets in, we can come back to her.
I'm ready.
Okay, Robbie, go ahead.
Hey, Brian, you want to make me the presenter?
Just 1 second.
Sure.
Brian, if you can still get her in, we'll still go with her. I didn't know if she was having trouble getting in or something.
We're calling her right now. 1 moment. She did not answer.
She says she can't speak on her phone.
Would it be okay if the chairman of that committee gave a report? I don't know if we could do that or not.
I could give it.
Okay. Let's
Robbie, you're the presenter. You can start your screen share anytime you need.
Okay. Let me pull up the email with her contracts on there.
So you're going to give the purchasing report first, right, Robbie?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
And everyone on the voting tabs, I've got that screen minimized so that Robbie can present his stuff. So I can see you, but the public can't.
Okay, all that was on the purchasing report is there are 4 contracts, and they have had Jay's approval and seeking approval as a group or individually.
Bring the screen back up, Brian, so I can see them. Okay, we got a motion by Commissioner Anderson to approve as a group, sir.
Yes.
Got a second by Commissioner Fritz. We have a question, Commissioner Meade.
Yeah, I just want clarification that the law director has either approved all these or their approval is subject to his review.
Hey, it's Catherine. Sorry, I had not put my audio pin in there. Can y'all hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. You sound great. Thank you.
Oh, so sorry about that. I'm not that techie. But yes, Jay has approved all these contracts now.
Thank you, Catherine. Do you want to add any other information, or are you good to go, Catherine, with the
No, I'm not sure what actually was being spoken because I was trying to recall in. So I didn't know if there's any questions that I might have missed.
We have a motion to approve all 4 items. If you want to just briefly give us a title of all 4 items, and then we could probably take action.
Oh, sure. Okay. So we got a contract with City Telecoin for the Sheriff's Department. That's a revenue generating contract. They're increasing their revenue. I think right now their contract's at a minimum of $8,000 per month, and this is going to be $12,000 per month. And then we have the contract with Faith Promise Church to buy that property. And we have a new contract with Comcast for the clinic. And I know Kim sent out an email explaining why that's necessary for HIPAA reasons. And then we have a contract to add telehealth services to the Care Here contract.
Thank you, Catherine.
It's an amendment.
Any questions on the 4 items in front of us? I have one question about the purchase of the senior center. I don't have it in front of me unless Commissioner Scott will tell me what page we're on our iPad. Is that going to include the memorandum of understanding now, or I know we're going to take action on that later, I think, but is that a part?
Yeah, I believe that was, I think that was just part of the operations committee. I don't think this is just for the purchase of the property.
And what is the date?
Mayor can correct me if I'm wrong. May 8th is the projected date to close.
Okay. So our last motion was to go to the 24th. So now we're at our last meeting. So Jay, or if someone could give me some direction, I just want to make sure we're doing this properly because our last motion said to close on or before April 24th. And now you're saying it's going to be May 8th. I just want to get some clarification on how that should go. And should we break these out or is this okay the way we're doing it? It's up to the commission. I'm okay.
As far as extending the date,
Commissioner McCamey, go ahead there.
My motion at last month's meeting was to close on or before the 24th of April. But I'm fine with the May 8th. I understand that there's some problems on getting the financing because of the pandemic, and that they've asked that it be pushed forward to the 8th of May, which I'm fine with.
And Chairman Wandell, if I could address that, we were scheduled, we were doing that very large refunding and for the high school where we're generating savings, and then also the ESG project and partial funding for this. And that was scheduled to go to market on April 1st. And then that's when we went haywire with COVID and the markets became unstable. And so we had to pull back from that. We're now scheduled, we've advertised for sale on the 22nd. I really would like just some clarification though on this closing date. We've set that at May 8th, but if the money is not in the bank, because we actually have to, there's a lot to wrap up even when you accept the offers. I would like the authority under that section only, which is 3. It says the closing date may be extended if agreed upon in writing by both the buyer and seller. If we do not have the funds deposited by the 8th, I would like the authority, to be able to work with the church on that, to go ahead and sign this agreement, but then enact that one sentence only if we do not have the funds, in the trustee's account. But everything else would remain the same.
So something needs to be added to this item that we're getting ready to take action on.
Well, I mean, I think, we can ask Jay on this. If we authorize this agreement as it is, I think that agreement allows that, but I would defer to Jay on that if he wants further clarification.
I'm wondering, and I'll come to Commissioner Scott and Denenberg. I'm wondering if we pass this as presented as a tool, which is what it is, a purchase agreement, and then we bring it back up under your report or something. But I'm going to be quiet and let Commissioner Scott and then Commissioner Denenberg speak. Maybe they got some other ideas. Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think for the purpose of avoiding any hiccups, I would like to suggest that we vote on these items individually. Please.
So how would I do that now? We've already got a motion and a second to approve as a group. You're requesting an amendment, I imagine?
Yes, sir.
To pull out this one item.
And this way, this item number 2 can stand on its own, and you can make your amendments, and Jay can do whatever he needs to do without stopping the other 3 items.
I think that makes sense because we're kind of squishing them all together right now. And I tell you what, Catherine, if the maker of the motion and the seconder would mind, let's just pick them up one at a time and go straight through. And there's only 4, so it's not like we're going to be here all day. Is that okay with the commissioner?
I'll withdraw my motion.
You okay with that, Commissioner Fritz?
I agree.
Thank you, sir. All right, let's clear the board and let's go back to the first item, and we'll come back whenever the item is. I think it's number 2, you said, Commissioner Scott. But before we go there, Commissioner Denenberg, Commissioner McCamey, do you have questions on this purchase agreement for the senior center? If you do, we'll pick them back up when that comes up. Is that okay?
That is fine. Thank you.
Oh, thank you both. Okay, sorry, Catherine, for the confusion. Just start on the first item, whatever you have there.
Sure. It is a contract with City Telecoin for the Sheriff's Department. It's telephone services for inmates, and it's revenue generating, submitting for your approval.
Thank you very much. Commissioner McCamey to approve, sir. Seconded by Commissioner Fritz.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Commissioner Fritz. Any discussion real quick on that? Any questions? Okay, and seeing none, we're going to go to the board and vote, please. Yes is to approve. No against. This is an increase in revenue. Commissioner Creasy and Commissioner Isabel waiting on, thank you, Commissioner Isabel. Thank you, Commissioner Creasy. Motion passed, 16 yes, 0 no's, unanimous. Thank you. Second item, Catherine, thank you.
The next item is the contract with Faith Promise Church to buy the property at Mariner Point. And I would like to point out that there is a sentence in there that says the closing date may be extended if agreed upon in writing by both buyer and seller.
Thank you for that clarification, Catherine. Have
Chairman Wandale. Chairman Wandale, this is Jay. Can I speak on that issue?
Sure. We have a motion and a second, but go ahead real quickly and I'll come back to Commissioner Jameson. Go ahead, sir.
The mayor and Catherine are exactly right. The contract does not need to be amended. You can approve it as presented tonight. It's got a clause that's already in there that allows the closing date to be extended by a written agreement of the parties. So if the mayor sees the necessity to extend the closing date due to the funding issue, then she may do that. It's written in the contract, so if you approve the contract, there's no problem with that. All she would do is get a correspondence together, and I'll be glad to help her with that. It's signed by both the mayor and Faith Promise Church that agrees to an extended closing. So no alteration of that contract before you tonight is needed on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Jay Yeager, Law Director. Appreciate it. Commissioner Dinnerberg, I'm going to go to the motion in the second so we can discuss. Commissioner Jameson, your motion, sir, or did you have a question?
Motion to approve it.
Yes, sir. Seconded by you, Commissioner Fritz.
That's correct.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Dinnerberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have two issues. The first issue, of course, is the fact that they're still only wanting to give us a special warranty deed. That makes me, as I've said before, very nervous and concerned as to why. The other is I have a real problem right now with what we're going through and the situation we're in of purchasing anything large. I just don't see that we're in a situation right now where we can go ahead with a $500,000 purchase. So those are my two concerns right at the moment, and I will not move forward on this one at all. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dinnerberg. Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the things that we spoke about during our recent budget meeting was the fact that people are a little bit stressed right now financially. The end of this year into next year is expected to be the worst year ever for bankruptcies. I don't think it's right to spend the taxpayers' money when we're reliant on our taxpayer dollars, and we're already, below where we should be when it comes to the sales tax dollars. It's no one's fault in particular. But the sales tax revenue, no one's traveling because they don't have the money. So they're not going to be out here in 3 months' time to make, utilize our accommodations. I just don't think it's right for us to be spending the money. So I'm also voting no.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott. Does anybody else? Commissioner Meade, sir, yes.
If I don't mute, it doesn't work. I'm concerned that we really need to have a senior center. We've been trying to do it for years and years. We're getting a deal hundreds of thousands of dollars below the market price. For us not to go ahead now, I think would be foolish. I'm in full support of supporting this motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Meade. Commissioner Creasy.
I feel the same as Catherine. In fact, spending money, if you looked over the budget expenditures were expected, or appropriations were expected to vote on, which comes up next, I think there's about $2 million there. And I'm going to ask the question when we come to item 4, what would happen if we all voted no for item 4? Would that shut the county down or not? But I'm only mentioning that to express how I feel about our finances in the near future that we're going to be faced with. And that's the only reason I brought that up. I think I'm on the same subject, and I'm not out of order, I believe. So that was my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Creasy. Any others? I can't see, does anyone else want to speak to this issue? Mayor or Jay or anyone? Go ahead. Commissioner Meade, did you have something else you wanted to say?
Well, I just wanted to say I find it interesting that the 3 people that seem to be opposed to this are Oak Ridge commissioners that already have a $2 million senior center in their neighborhood.
Okay, thank you.
For heaven's sake, Steve.
Chairman Wandell.
That has nothing to.
Hold up now. Hold up. Let's not get it's we're all communicating, and it's okay to have an opinion, but let's stay on track here and stay focused. Mayor, you had something you wanted to say. I apologize.
I wanted to address the special warranty deed. We will be getting title insurance for the property, and Bill Fry's law firm has been engaged to get the title insurance, and we did conduct the report on that. There was a survey, and I verified with him that there would be no issue regarding the title insurance. And I did bring up the fact that the church would ask for the warranty deed, and I asked if that had any play on the title insurance, and he said that special warranty deeds are often used where a corporation is conveying the property, and in this particular case, Faith Promise Church is a nonprofit corporation. So I did not believe that that would affect the purchase or the title insurance coverage. So I do think it was important to answer your concern on that, because it is obviously a concern for the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Commissioner Creasy, sir.
Yeah, I was going to make a comment from what Steve came back on there, but I'm going to let it ride. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Creasy. I appreciate that. Commissioner Yeagers.
Thank you, Chairman. I was just looking at our rules of procedure that we discussed last month, and we were going to try to speed things up and only allow one comment per motion. I don't have a comment except for that.
Mr. Parliamentarian, you're exactly right, and I apologize. That was my mistake, and I appreciate you bringing it to my attention. That's 2 tonight. One more, I may be out, but thank you. I really do appreciate it. Commissioner Anderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would ask the mayor or Robbie or whoever if they could let us know if for some reason we didn't go through with this purchase, how much earnest money, how much would we lose if we don't fulfill our end of the contract?
This contract is 0 earnest money, but we have made investments with the title survey or the title search, the survey, phase 1 environmental, and a building inspection. But there has been 0 money, earnest money put down for this contract.
But we are several $1,000s invested in already then, probably. Yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson. Thank you, Mayor Frank. Commissioner Fritz.
Commissioner Yeager stole my thunder as chairman of the Rules Committee. I was just going to remind everybody of our rules of speaking one time and no more than 3 minutes per motion.
Thank you again, man. You guys are getting me tonight. No, I appreciate it. And you're correct. We did vote on that last meeting and appreciate you bringing it to my attention. Any other comments on this motion? We have a motion to approve. We have a second. We've had discussion. Any other comments before we go to the board and vote? Yes is to approve the purchase agreement as presented, and no is to vote against the purchase agreement. Any questions? Let's go to the board, Brian. Motion carries 12 yes, 4 no's. Thank you. Okay, Catherine. Next.
All right, next is a contract with Comcast for a TV with internet for the clinic for HIPAA reasons.
Have a motion by Commissioner Scott to approve as presented. Is that correct, Commissioner Scott?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Meredith with the second. Any discussion on the motion? Let's go to the board. This is for Comcast and the clinic. Yes is to approve, no's against. $16 yes, 0 no's. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Go ahead, Catherine.
The last item is an amendment with the carrier to add telehealth services to our contract.
Have a motion by Commissioner Yeager to approve as presented, correct, sir?
Yes.
Thank you, Commissioner Yeager. Seconded by Commissioner Meredith. Any discussion on that? Let's go to the board and vote. Motion carries 16 yes, 0 no's, unanimous. Does that conclude your report, Catherine? Go ahead, I apologize.
It does.
Okay.
Yes, sir, it does, unless anybody has any questions.
Thank you for joining and thank you for what you do. We appreciate it. You stay safe.
Thank you, you too. Have a nice night.
You too. Bye-bye. Okay, Robbie, thank you for your patience. You're up, sir.
No problem. Okay, the first thing I have is the cash and fund balance. Brian, if you want to make me presenter, I can show this on the screen.
One moment, Robbie. I'll make you presenter.
Okay, thank you. That's not it.
You're now presenter. You can click.
Okay. All right, the cash and fund balance report. Restricted funds for general fund are at 1.3 million. Committed funds are at $2,059,016. Assigned funds are at $519,857. And unassigned fund balance is at 3.6 million, for total fund balance at 7.5 million, and cash is 13,436,103, which is just a little bit down from last year. But like I said, last month, we just gave Fund 171 $3 million. So it would be at 16 if it hadn't been for that transaction. I'd also like to point out that the schools fund balance is at 5.6 million and their cash is 18,125,157, which I look back at last year at this time, and normally April is their, or March is always the high mark for their cash, and because they spend a lot of money in June paying their employees for the summer, or on the contract for the summer. So any questions on fund balance report?
Robbie, just for point, first off, great job. I'm following you along on my iPad, and of course that's from February 29th, and I noticed your report here on screen is for March 31st, and that's the reason for the difference. So thank you for getting up to speed with the most recent information. Thank you. Any questions for Robbie on this? Go ahead and continue, Robbie. Thank you.
Okay. Next up is the sales tax. I have it right here. Maybe if I can get it. All right. All right, sales tax, February, Anderson County collected $320,847. Our total sales tax was 3.2 million, which was up 30% from last February. We did get, the mayor reported out Friday in an email, and we did get sales tax in actually today in our department from the trustee's office. Anderson County's collections were $323,620, and total collections were 2.7 million, which is only 6% up, but Anderson County was 32% up from last March. So this month is another really good month. Next month is when we're told that we'll start seeing some decreases in our sales tax. So hopefully the county will still be okay. Any questions on sales tax?
Commissioners, I cannot see your questions, so if you have one, I apologize. Robbie's given a presentation, which I like, so just feel free to speak up if you have a question, because I cannot see your request to speak button. But Robbie, the only thing I wanted to say on that previous slide, I'd like for you to make sure that that's added into the minutes, the updated version, okay? Did I lose you?
Robbie, you've got to turn your mic on.
Thanks, Mayor.
I've done it 100 times. The mayor has too, I'm sure, on all the meetings she's been on. But yeah, and I know you will. I just wanted to point it out because our numbers are different on the last one than this one. So
Okay.
just make
Well,
sure.
I was just reporting out what we had gotten today in the office. It normally doesn't show up on this report. It'll show up next month.
Yeah. Okay.
I was just giving y'all a heads up because we got it today in the office.
No, I was talking about the one previously, your cash.
Okay, sure.
But no, I like this. This one matches up. I'll be quiet. I think some people had some questions or comments.
Sure.
I had a question, Mr. Chairman. Robbie, is there any savings that has been realized since the schools have been closed on utilities or any other particular items?
I cannot say for sure. I mean, it's obvious to
Well, perhaps this is just something we need to look at in the future. Maybe the question was a little too soon.
No, I'm sorry. I was talking again when my button was muted. I pulled a report today showing the schools, the summary financial statement. And right now the schools year to date in April have collected 88% of their revenue at 54 million. And their expenditures are at 46 million. So they have an $8 million surplus in this year's budget. That's a little misleading because like I said, they spend a lot of money in June. But I mean, it's obvious to think that we'll see some savings in utilities and some other costs for the schools for the remainder of the year.
Okay, thank you very much.
No problem.
Good question, Commissioner Denneberg. I did pose a question similar to Robbie, and the mayor and the director of schools responded very nicely. And it's my understanding any savings that come in will be going into the 141 code, if I remember correctly, Robbie. And based on the response I saw, Robbie's following things very closely as well. But I think the director of schools is doing a great job and keeping a handle on all those funds. So I thought I saw Dr. Parrott on this call earlier. Dr. Parrott, are you there? Would you like to make any comments? I know you're not on the agenda, and I just wanted to give you an opportunity if you'd like to address it now.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Dr. Parrott.
Yes, I think you're exactly right. We will see some savings. As you know, a lot of our teachers get paid through the summer. But I think the big thing is we're going to get the CARES Act. We got those numbers this week. we should be able, if everything works out, about $1.3 million will come to help offset. One of the places that we're really going in the red is right now is where we're doing our feeding every week, because, we're not charging anybody for the food. And we will have to make that account whole at the end of the year. But other than that, I think you're exactly right. We still have to have a lot of, our water and things like that will go down. We're still making sure our schools are, they're on all the energy management systems. So they go down and the lights go off when everybody's there. So I'm thinking we'll see quite a bit of savings on that. So I just wanted to say I want to thank the commission for what you all do. I know it's kind of hard to do some things when we're all going through new things, but also our cafeteria staff and our principals and our teachers, all of them are really working hard. And I really believe that even though we've been out of school for now almost 6 weeks, our students have not lost a lot of academics. They're really and truly, our teachers are doing some amazing things out there. And I know we've been sending you some reports of all the great things that are going on, and we'll be sending out another one this Friday to let you know. There will be some information also coming out tomorrow about graduation. We have now made a plan for graduation. We won't be doing it at Thompson Bowling Arena, but we'll have that out very, very soon. That's all I have.
Thank you, Dr. Parrott, and appreciate you and the school system and all the teachers, cafeteria workers, principals, everyone giving out the food like you are. And I think that's on Tuesdays and Thursdays, if I'm not mistaken. And I also heard you on your message where you said if any family needs, student's family needs food, to contact their principal, and you would jump in and see what you can do. And the only thing I wanted to ask, and I know I talked to board member Joe Williams about this, is, and we have to talk about it now. I just want to throw it out there, but it'd be nice if we could consider running the bus once or twice a week to some of those locations where folks can't get out to the schools. And maybe, I understand there's got to be a protocol for distance and everything, but I think we got the same protocol when they come get the food. And if we have to, we'll make a hook on the end of a stick and hand it out the window or something. But I know there's a lot of folks that can't get to the food. And I think our bus drivers know exactly where those locations might need it most. And I've got some real concerns up in District 4 area, and but you're doing a great job, and I'm not here to criticize you. If that could happen maybe once or twice, or consider it, that'd be great. If it's a legal issue, I understand. But thank you
Yes,
again. Anyway. Go ahead.
I've got a meeting with Ms. Burrow tomorrow to go over some of those things. The other thing that Y12 Credit Union gave us a $10,000 grant to purchase food. So we're looking at trying to get that out, and Second Harvest has really been tremendous about getting that out. So yes, we will make sure that if anybody out there, and if they're on this site, anybody's in need, please let them call their principals, and we'll make sure they get food.
Thank you, Dr. Parrott. And Robbie, I apologize. Any other questions for Dr. Parrott before he gets out of here?
Mr. Chairman, I was up next for the right to speak queue. I love working at Y12 Federal Credit Union. That's one of the things the employees are proud of, is the program that we have where funding goes back to people in need. But the question I had for Robbie was, of the sales tax money, how much of that is actually going into the county commission's fund?
Teresa, Commissioner Scott, none of this money goes into the county commission fund. That's, you're talking about the courthouse security, aren't you?
I was talking about the sales tax dollars, the $300 and some odd thousand you got.
Well, into the general fund, out of that 300,000, 101,940 goes into the general fund sales tax.
Okay, that's what I was looking for. Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, 59,000 goes into this highway department. So general fund and highway split the half of what the county collects, which was 323,620.
Thank you very much.
No problem.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott and Robbie. Commissioner Scott, just as a reminder for all the commissioners, I can't see who's requesting to speak. We have this presentation on, so I apologize. So if there's anybody else that'd like to ask a question or make a comment to Dr. Parrott real quickly while he's still here, here's your chance. I can't see you, so please just speak up. Guess we're good to go. Dr. Parrott, thank you. We'll get back into the financial report. Go ahead, Robbie.
Okay, next up is the EMS report. At the end of March, which is 75% of our year, EMS has collected almost 78% of their revenue at 4.4 million. And their expenditures, they've only spent 70% of their budget at 4.2 million. So they have a $257,000, $413 surplus right now. So they're actually doing a really good job with their budget this year.
Do you have a comparison for, not on you right now, Robbie, but if you get a chance, or maybe you can just tell me, how's it stand compared this time last year?
They were pretty similar last year, I think. They had about a $200,000 rollover, but I will say that some of it had to do with the loan that we forgave. But this year, if they're looking to have a surplus, and that will add to the surplus they already have, which could take their surplus to around 450, 500,000.
Thank you. Again, commissioners, if you got any questions, you have to speak up because I can't see the board. And now, Brian, if you see a commissioner on your side that has a question, please just let me know so I can stop Robbie.
No, there's no one requesting to speak.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Rob.
Okay, well, next up is the amendment part of this. I'm going to raise it. I don't have to put this on the screen unless you want me to, but.
No, I like this. I'm not complaining.
Okay.
I like this. I think the people at home will like this as well. They see it as well. Is that correct?
Yes, everybody at home sees this as well.
Okay, then we're going to group 4, appropriations non-school. We have 8 through 28. Seeking approval as a group or individually, or any questions, we can pull any of them out if anybody would like.
Okay, now we'll need to go back to the board. We'll look at it just a second. And
yeah,
Brian,
let me switch you over.
Yeah, please. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Fritz to approve as a group, sir.
Approve as a group.
Thank you. And a seconded by Commissioner Meredith. Any discussions on approving, I believe it's group 4. I was looking on the page what that was. I'm lost, Commissioner Scott. So we got a motion to approve as a group. Did you say group 4?
That's correct.
Okay. Any questions? Let's go to the board.
Mr. Chairman, that's on page 3.
You're a lifesaver. Page 3. Well, it must be on the cash report. 15 yes, 1 no. Commissioner Creasy. Motion passes. Go ahead, Robbie.
Okay, next up is group 5, transfers non-school. We have 2, page 2, number 3, and page 12, number 27. The property assessors is for $6,000 and veterans office is for $3,000 a transfer. One's a major line item, both are major line items.
Have a motion to approve both, Commissioner Fritz?
As a group.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And Commissioner Scott, second. Any discussion on the items? Let's go to the board. Motion passes unanimously. Hey, Brian, can you flip up the next one before he starts talking about it? Motion passes 16 yes, 0 no's, unanimous.
Okay, the next up is Group 6, Appropriations, General Fund, Unassigned Fund Balance. The first one is from me, Finance Department, for the Charter Commission that is having to take back up. So we had to move $775 to cover some things to pay for Charter Commission. And the other one is from the Finance Department. It's also, we have a payment due right now for the ESG project, and we don't have our bond money yet. So we are borrowing more money from unassigned to pay for this. And as soon as we get the bond, which should happen in May, that we will be paying unassigned back before, I think it's a total of almost $950,000 right now, after this amount is moved.
So what group was that again?
Group 6, Appropriations, General Fund, Unassigned Fund Balance.
Thank you. We have a motion by Commissioner Fritz to approve as a group.
That's correct.
Seconded by Commissioner Kamey.
Yes.
Any discussion? Let's go to the board. Motion passes 15 yes, 1 no. Go ahead, Robbie.
All right. Next up is the miscellaneous part, Group 7. The first action, or Group A, was the vote on 2021 proposed budgets. The first one was a motion made by Commissioner Denenberg to accept proposed budgets for Fund 115, 116, 122, 127, 128, and 131, and seconded by Commissioner Smallridge. The motion passed by voice vote. Voting no was Denver Waddell. Second, all general fund proposed budgets were passed except 52,300 property assessor, 52,600 IT, and 56,300 senior citizens assistance. The motion was made by Commissioner Smallridge and seconded by Catherine Denenberg. Motion passed by voice vote. Then we took the general fund departments individually. It's 52,300 property assessor. He was asking for an increase in expenses in the amount of $98,331, and a motion was made by Commissioner Denenberg to approve half of the requested increase in expenses, $49,165, seconded by Commissioner Scott. The motion passed by voice vote. Voting no was Commissioner Rick Meredith. And the Department IT had an increase in their budget of like $3,000, and the motion was made by Commissioner Scott to approve, seconded by Commissioner Smallridge. The senior citizens was asking for $30,000 to hire part-time employees. The motion, it failed for lack of a motion, so. And EMS, motion made by Teresa Scott to table the discussion and discuss at full commission meeting, seconded by Commissioner Denenberg. That motion passed. I think, honestly, we should, in my opinion, we should take that back to the budget committee and ask them to approve or reject EMS as a budget and then bring it back to commission. But whatever the will of the committee is, we can do for commission.
So right now, Robbie, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're just going through the budgeting process.
Yes,
You're not asking us to approve any specific budget.
No, they don't have to be approved. The budget gets approved as a whole by commission. The committee has approved the budgets that I read. They took no action on the EMS budget. And that's all we had ready. Next month, we have the schools and the remainder of the budgets ready.
So we don't necessarily, I'm just asking your opinion. We don't necessarily have to take any immediate action on the EMS budget tonight.
No, sir.
Okay. Does any commissioners have any comments or I don't see anybody speaking up. So we don't have to take any action. You're just sharing that with us from the budget committee. Is that my interpretation?
Yes, sir. That's all that happened on Section A. Section B, we had a discussion on a spending freeze and spending and hiring freeze. No action was taken at that time. Section C, Mayor Frank presented detailed information regarding the governor's local government support grants. No action was taken. I'm not sure if the mayor wants to add anything to her since she presented this or not.
Hey, Brian, could you put his information back up while he's talking? Because he's talking about a lot of stuff. Do you still have this under presentation too?
I can pull it up. Yes, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, put that up there. That'll help me out. Go ahead, you can continue talking, Robbie. I apologize.
All right. Let me go all the way. I got to find this real quick.
Chairman, you're doing a good job.
Thank you, but I think we're all doing a good job. I really appreciate everyone's patience, and I know it can get frustrating, but I appreciate all the good advice and you guys keeping us all in line. Thank you.
All right. So right here, we're on section C. The mayor presented detailed information regarding the governor's local grant, support grants. If you go all the way to the end of this, down over my report, I think the county was positioned to get, right here it should be. $1,093,102. So there, no action was taken. It was more information from the mayor.
Just go up just a little bit on that, if you could.
Okay.
That one page ahead of it there and up, back down. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry.
I'm sorry. It's probably going to split the page. You had the dates on it, not the other way. I apologize. We got to, the mayor knows the dates off the top of her head. The funds will, I think we got to have our request in by right there, 7/1/20, July. And
right. Funds will be available after 7/1/2020. Applicants will be made available 4/30/2020.
Gotcha.
There was more, I think there was a couple more dates in here.
I'd say the mayor will talk about this probably under her report.
Yeah, she also presented this in operations.
Yeah, she did a good job, and I understand, and I appreciate the way you guys worked on this. This is good information. At the end of the day, we're going to be able to apply for $1,093,102 to be used in certain spelled out ways. We can't go build baseball fields or anything like that, but it's spelled out in that. Mayor, did you want to say something?
No, sir. I mean, it's all in the documentation there, and I submitted this to both budget and operations committee. The deadline for application is April 30th, 2021. And so we will need to do resolutions and take those through operations committee for a resolution standpoint, but I know budget committee is going to be want to be involved in this as well because they're obviously dealing with how to fund capital needs. But I just wanted to go ahead and put it out there so that we could be, as we're going through the budget process, we can decide maybe where we would like to apply for those funds.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah. Sorry, any other questions about that?
I guess not. Go ahead, Robbie.
Okay, section D was new business, and Commissioner Fritz, who is, I think, the chairman of the Conservation Board, presented rate increases for various campground fees as proposed by the Conservation Board. Motion was made by Commissioner Denver Waddell to approve the rate increase as presented and seconded by Commissioner Rick Meredith. The motion passed. This does need to be voted on in commission.
Let's go back to the board. Got a motion by Commissioner Anderson to approve the rate increase.
Yeah, Commissioner Fritz, I made a motion to approve it.
Oh, sorry, Commissioner Fritz, I apologize. Look at the right color orange here. Commissioner Fritz, Commissioner Fritz with the motion approved, seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Commissioner Scott.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I did applaud during our budget meeting. I did applaud the fact that they have finally come around and increased the rate some. But I think it's necessary for us to look at being a little more competitive and falling in line with some of the other areas that are charging actually more than we are. But I do approve of this for the time being. Thank you.
Thank you. Good comments. Any other questions, comments before we take a vote? And just quickly, what are we increasing?
It's campground fees. RV site is at $21 right now. They're increasing the proposed rates $30. Tent only primitive sites are $15 to $20. Long term, right now it's $295. They're going to increase it to $350. And winter storage is going to go from $100 to $150, which all these, they have a comparison. And I apologize, I should have put this fee comparison in my report.
That's okay.
There are a lot of.
It was obviously discussed in Conservation Committee and then also budget. So,
Mayor, we'd like to thank Stephanie Wells. Well, we involved her heavily from tourism, who came and helped us to get a lot of the comparisons from all the different campgrounds and all the different areas. So she was very helpful and beneficial to us and helping us come up with these comparisons.
Good comments, Commissioner Fritz. She's helped out the Conservation Board many times. She even put us some maps together several years ago. So thank you for those comments. I agree. She's a tremendous asset. Any other comments, questions on this item? Let's go to the board. Yeses for the increase, noes against. Motion passes 16 yes, 0 noes. Commissioner Fritz, can I ask you a question real quick while we're on this issue? I've had several calls, I'm sure you have too. The boat docks are closed at the Anderson County parks because of safety, and we couldn't separate folks having picnics versus boat launches. Is that a correct assessment?
And plus two, with the governor's ruling to stay at home and everything, that would be going against everything that the governor has issued. And so hopefully things will be easing in the very near future. But we couldn't see, trying to jeopardize the safety of our parking employees and letting people come in and, right now, we thought it'd be best to keep everything closed down because everything in the whole area, state and, matter of fact, even at Cove Lake, where people go up there and fish, it's closed off. And so both for the state and federal levels, everything is closed.
I appreciate your update for the folks at home and appreciate all you're doing. Thank you. Okay, continue on. Robbie, please.
That's all I have tonight. I appreciate your patience, you and all the commissioners, Chairman Wandell.
Robbie, great job. Appreciate the way you made the presentation. I love being able to see it in front of me because, as you know, I can't. And for the folks at home that are listening and wonder why maybe Commissioner Wandell is so lost all the time and has to ask Commissioner Scott which page is on, it's another attachment. Right. I don't want to lose my spot and have to go back, and then I get all discombobulated even worse than I am. So I appreciate you doing this. Anything else for Mr. Holbrook before he exits? Thank you again.
Thank you. Have a good night.
I'd like to remind everybody for the voting tablets, please plug up your power supply so that they are getting AC electricity and not running on battery. We're probably getting close to dead batteries if you all haven't plugged in.
I just did it. Thank you for the reminder. I was about half. Okay, next is County Mayor.
Good evening. The action item, the only action items I have on the agenda are some appointments and then the motion to authorize the extension of the Built Environment Grant. The if you want to handle these individually or as a group. The first is Anderson County Conservation Board, appointment of Lewis Ridner with a term expiring 12/23, and reappointment of Earl Cagle, term expiring 12/22. If you would like to do them as a group, then also reappointment of Buzz Buffington with a term expiring 9/25. Reappointment of Bill Riggs. He was nominated and ratified by the Clinton City Council. His term is expiring 9/25. And then the reappointment of Shira McWaters. She was also nominated by Oak Ridge City Council and ratified by the council with a term expiring 9/25.
Would you like to go ahead and add the Healthy Built Environmental Work Plan Grant Extension, or do you want to keep that separate? It's up to you.
It would probably be best to keep that separate, Mr. Chairman.
You got it. Motion by Commissioner Fritz to approve the first two items for Anderson County Conservation Board and Regional Solid Waste Planning Board reappointments. Is that your motion, sir?
That's correct.
Seconded by Commissioner Anderson. Any questions? Let's go to the board. Yeses for all of the recommended appointments. No is against. Motion passes 16 yes, 0 no's, unanimous. Mayor?
Then the next is I'm requesting a motion to authorize the extension of the Built Environment Grant. Just for the record, it's Z19194742. This extension is to 12/31/2020.
Motion by Commissioner Fritz to approve. Thank you. Seconded by Commissioner Denenberg. Any discussions on the Healthy Built Environmental Work Plan Grant Extension as presented? Seeing none, let's go to the board and vote. Motion passes 16 yes, 0 no's, unanimous. Anything else, Mayor, you have?
The only other thing, I can't find where I just printed it out, but I was just going to give you an update on the Glen Alpine. The former property is scheduled for auction on May 16th. There are 8 registered bidders already. That will be held on Saturday, May 16th. There is quite a bit of interest. I have discussed, what we think this would look like with what's going on with COVID, but there is active interest. And I think here in East Tennessee, especially today with the governor talking about phasing in a reopening, we feel good and on track with that auction. So we're going to proceed with that. I just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, just a quick question, and I think Danny confirmed this, but I just want to ask you because I had a couple of calls about zoning. To build a house in Anderson County, it does not require Knox County to give us approval to build a home in Anderson County. Is that correct?
That's correct. It would require Anderson County approval. Now, I know there might be some, case where I would defer to Jay on this, but you have some properties where half of the yard is in Knox County and half is in Anderson County. And, we have that down in Roane County where, services are provided by us, but part of the property is in Roane County and they're paying taxes in one place and getting services from another. So, but to my knowledge, no, sir, it would just be, I'm not an expert on this. If you have a specific question, I can look into it. And I guess I'm sitting here thinking as you ask this, it could be a situation where maybe Hallsdale Powell might provide some utilities, and maybe there is something there that might involve the Knox County office.
Okay, I'll relay that. I think it's a different item altogether, not
Okay.
related to Anderson County, but I'll find out. Thank you for that answer. And the last question I should have asked Catherine, any update on 205 Main sale?
I don't have anything, and Catherine is tracking those numbers. Perhaps one of the commissioners on purchasing committee, Commissioner Isabel or Yeager, I think Commissioner Yeager usually asks. He might have a good recollection. I want to say they have done one walkthrough, and I just cannot recall the number of visits they've had on the web.
So the close date hasn't happened yet?
No, sir. I think it's April.
I'm here still.
Last open. Oh,
yeah, Catherine.
Hi. I was wondering if this might come up. We did have one walkthrough, and the closing date is the 29th at 2:30. So I was going to email everybody the numbers that we get in. Well, I'll email a bid tab that will also include an explanation of what the intended use for the properties are from each bidder.
Okay. And then Catherine, real quickly, and I'll get to Commissioner Smallridge, but if anyone wants to still bid on 205 Main, they could contact your office and still do that, or is it too late?
Yes, definitely. Until 2:30 on the 29th.
Okay. So if anyone wants to bid on 205 Main to 2:30 or on the 29th, they have that as a deadline. Thank you. Commissioner Smallridge.
Yes, question, Mayor. I noticed that some of the, or at least one of the area counties have had to furlough or lay off some workers. I'm assuming we haven't had to do that, or hopefully we're not contemplating having to do that. But I just wanted to double check with you on that.
I'm not aware of anyone who has been laid off or furloughed. The revenues, one of the benefits in Anderson County is that we do have the 2 drive-through locations where some of the other counties have struggled with how to collect and do business for either taxation, paying of property taxes, or the tags or other services provided by the clerk. We've been able to maintain stability through the use of those drive-throughs. Robbie is tracking that very closely. I know Chairman Wandell has been tracking that. I actually sent an email to Robbie and Kim this morning in HR to see if anyone, my only doubt would be, I did not know if the county clerk had done some layoff or if he had just done staggering of operations. And I by the end of the day, I had not heard back what that response was. But to my knowledge, that would be the only area that I've even heard that there might be, some contemplation of that. Robbie, okay, there's Robbie.
I'm back. Yeah, to my knowledge, we haven't furloughed anybody in the county. Kim and HR would know before I would, but I checked with our payroll we all were paid last week, and when I checked last week, nobody had. County clerk may have, a part-time person may have been let go, but that's about all I know of in the county for anybody right now, for any layoffs or furloughs. And this was 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Thank you. That's good to hear.
Good question, Commissioner Smallridge. Thank you. Commissioner Creasy.
Yes, I was wanting to ask the mayor, is our health department doing testing for the coronavirus? Are they doing it daily or periodically?
Yes, sir. They are performing testing daily. The National Guard also, Anderson County was one of the sites chosen to get additional resources in order to provide, hands-on, more folks available to do testing. They also, over the holiday weekend, they were open even on Good Friday when other government offices were closed. They were open Friday and Saturday. Granted, it was only a partial day. They also have they're getting ready to do another mass testing. That will take place in Oak Ridge at Roan State Community College on Sunday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. That will be the mobile testing. So EMA is working with the Department of Health, Chief Curley from Oak Ridge Fire is also helping there. And then, of course, Roan State making the facility available. But yes, they're continuing to test on a constant basis. They do give priority to our health professionals and first responders. So if there is a suspected COVID case or a suspected exposure, they are testing them and they'll get that information back in 24 hours. So they've been a great partner for us, Commissioner Creasy.
And the other question, is it necessary to make an appointment?
You can show up. They do encourage you to call. I think it's always best, but then they are doing, for instance, when they're there with the National Guard, you can show up. When they're doing the mass event, it's just you show up between 9 and 4 and they're going to see that you have a test. No appointment necessary.
Very good report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner Creasy. Any other questions? Thank you, Mayor, for your report and all the hard work you're doing. Appreciate you staying on top of the COVID. I also think, maybe you probably know this as well, in addition to the National Guard, I think I heard that the state is going to have some testing going on at Roan State Community College and Oak Ridge. And anybody can show up for that to get tested, whether you have symptoms or not. Have you heard that?
Yes, sir. That's what I was referencing with Commissioner Creasy. That is it's the state, but your Anderson County Health Department is actually the hands, the feet on the ground that are going to make that happen. And so they are working with Roan State, Anderson County's EMA, and Chief Curley with Oak Ridge Fire Department is also helping with that and the logistics there. So that will be this coming Sunday, 9 to 4.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. 9 to 4 at Roan State Community College.
Yes, sir.
Anyone that wants to get tested. Thank you.
Anyone and you don't have to get out of the car. It's mobile testing.
Excellent. Okay. Anything else for the mayor? Thanks again, Mayor. Appreciate all you're doing. Okay, Law Director. Hey, is everybody okay? Do you need a break? Is everybody all right? Okay. Law Director, go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If you'll turn to my written report, Section A is the contract approvals. It needs no action. If anybody has any question, I'll be glad to entertain those questions. If not, go to Section B, the lawsuit update. The James Duncan case versus Anderson County has been dismissed with no liability against the county. This is the second time Mr. Duncan has sued us for medical issues at the jail. Has nothing to do really with our staff at the jail. They performed well. It was really the medical contractor he had an issue with, but that case has been dismissed now for the second time. And again, there's no liability against any of our officers or the county or the sheriff's office. And thanks for the sheriff and the sheriff's office and jailers. They've done a fabulous job up there. Item C is the Pitney Bowes cancellation due to budget constraints in the school system. The school system continues to endeavor to take an overall look at areas that they can cut and produce savings from the county commission directive last year during the budget cycle. They've identified this Pitney Bowes contract that will require county commission approval to cancel. What this is the postage machine that they have in the school system. They're welcome to utilize the county postage machine, and we've got them set up with codes over there. So there's no need for the Pitney Bowes machine that's in the school central office. If they need to do any mailing, they'll just go over to the county postage machine and get postage there. So I do need a motion to cancel this contract with Pitney Bowes concerning the postage machine, and this is due to the budget constraints that the school system is, again, continuing to look at their entire operations trying to find savings. This will produce a savings of approximately $2,000 a month.
Thank you. Jay,
Commissioner Meade, so moved.
thank you, Commissioner Meade. Commissioner Scott seconded. Commissioner Scott, do you have a question as well, or are you just seconding?
Yes, sir. I'm seconding, and I have a question for Jay. Is there a charge for us to cancel that agreement with Pitney Bowes?
There could possibly be, but this is due to budget constraints, and the contract allows us to cancel with budget constraints, and that's exactly what it is. It's a duplication of services. However, I do need in the motion that we are canceling this contract due to budget constraints. I can't just have in the minutes that we're canceling the contract. So whoever the maker of the motion is, it needs to be rephrased to show that we're canceling the contract due to budget constraints.
Thank you. That was Steve Meade that made the motion.
I agree with that change in wording. It is important that it shows that it's being done for budget constraints. That due to budget constraints, they're requesting the cancellation of this contract represents a savings of close to $1,900 a month. So this is worth doing.
The seconder of the motion, you okay with that?
Of course I am. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're on page 75, by the way.
Hey, thank you, Commissioner Scott. Commissioner Scott, did you have something else to say? I didn't mean to cut you off before I went back.
No. I just wanted to know if we were going to be charged a fee as a result of the cancellation.
Oh, great question. No, okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Any other questions on this item? Jay, does that motion cover you?
Yes, sir, but I'd like to thank Dr. Parrott and especially Julie Minton. They've got an ongoing search for savings, and they found this issue, and thank you very much for helping us out there.
Awesome. Yes, I agree, and thank you for bringing it up. No other questions?
This is Catherine.
Oh, go ahead, Catherine.
Oh, I just wanted to say that Pitney Bowes is usually pretty agreeable to canceling leases when there's no money, when there's a cancellation of money.
All right, very good. Hey, Kim and Nat, y'all are looking good in there. All right, let's go to the board. Bring up the board, Brian. $16 yes, 0 no's. Motion passes unanimously. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Item D is an area, it's the new Windrock Mountains singular cell tower. We've been discussing this, I think, for about 10 years now. And we've got two commissioners that have been absolutely instrumental in this, specifically Commissioner Isbell. I think I've written 3 different resolutions during the past 10 years, going back to Doug Hahn and certainly Zach Bates, now Commissioner Val, and we finally got it. So we'll be getting a new cell tower. Hopefully there'll be some co-location off that same tower. It's going to be high up in Windrock Mountain. It'll produce a huge coverage area for those areas near Frost Bottom, Riceville, New River that have historically had terrible cell service. And this has been a public safety issue over the years. But I just want to say thank you to all those commissioners, specifically Commissioner Isbell, for all he's done. It's been a relentless effort. And thank you, Representative Reagan, Lieutenant Governor McNally for helping with this. But I'd like to ask Commissioner Isbell if he has anything he wants to say on this. It's a fantastic endeavor for us, and I hope the citizens will appreciate this. But Commissioner Isbell, do you have anything to say on this issue?
Yes, thank you, Jay. Thanks for the kind words, but thanks go out to this total commission for the support on the resolutions. And can you imagine these people now that live in that area going through what we're going through without what we have been able to connect? We got a letter in the mail, Commissioner Val and myself, just recently, and it was a letter that was addressed to our state senators, Lieutenant Governor, Representative Reagan, Commissioner Val, and myself, talking about the need of this. And I'd sent him an email and hope that he tuned in tonight for good news, because I didn't want to spoil it for anybody. But I just want to say thank you to this full commission and the mayor. You know, she had a task force, and Jerry Creasy. I mean, he worked with AT&T for years with this and always talking to them. So, Jerry Creasy and the mayor both had a big part in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Isabel. Appreciate that and appreciate all you do, and Commissioner Val and everyone involved there. And Commissioner Creasy, yes, sir.
Yeah, I had just a little bit, not much. I made some comments and encouragement, but and if we vote on any issue or on this issue, I will abstain because I have contacts and agreements and that I need, and Jay is aware of my association.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Creasy. This was approved at Planning Commission last Tuesday, so no vote needs to be taken here at County Commission tonight. But I forgot to thank you for all your work. I know you've been working on this for at least 3 years, but thank you, everyone, and I really appreciate this, and I know the citizens up there will too. Any other questions on that issue?
Mr. Chairman, I would also like to thank the applicant that was Brent Galloway of Coal Creek, and, Windrock Mountain. The folks there have brought a lot of tourism dollars to Anderson County, and they have pursued this for safety reasons, bringing in a lot of folks, and a lot of folks are running the trails there. And so I want to make sure that we don't forget them in this, because they are the applicant who took the city commission in conjunction with AT&T.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you for bringing it up, Mayor. Good point. We really appreciate it. Safety is always a concern. Any other comments? All right, Jay, what you got next?
Thanks, sir. The next item I have is the Sheriff's Office MOU, Memorandum of Understanding with the State of Tennessee Department of Health. What this is for the Sheriff's Office to have access to an ongoing database with individuals that are tested positive for COVID-19. This is very important in their daily dealings and certainly in the jail intake phase. But this is what this MOU does. It gives the Sheriff's Office access to this Department of Health stats.
Have a motion by Commissioner Fritz, seconded by Commissioner Scott. Commissioner Fritz, this is to approve the resolution as presented.
That's correct.
Commissioner Scott seconded.
Yes, sir.
Okay, does that cover you in that forum?
Yes, right. Okay. Yes, sir. It sure does.
Any other questions? If not, let's go to the board, please. Commissioner White. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Commissioner White. 16 yes, 0 no's. Motion passes unanimously. Go ahead, Jay.
Thank you, sir. The next item I have is the Allies for Substance Abuse Prevention of Anderson County. They're requesting to pave their parking lot. They're down in the old adult education mobile office trailer. It's a gravel lot there. They've secured funding on their own. They do not need county funding assistance to do this. This will help them with ADA access, getting into their building, but it's on county property. It's under that old deed with the county health department, but we do need to approve it. It's an alteration of county space, but ASAP is handling all the financial arrangements. It's not dipping out of the county coffers. I need a motion to approve that.
Thank you, Law Director. Commissioner Scott with a motion to approve.
Of course it is. Thank you.
Seconded by Commissioner Meredith. Any discussion on this item for ASAP to pave the county property where they're located at no cost to county taxpayers? Let's go to the board. Thank you, Jay, for bringing this to our attention, and Commissioner Meredith, we appreciate it.
Well, thanks to Stephanie Strutner is the one.
Thank you, Stephanie Strutner, again. 16 yes, 0 no's. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all I have. The other items that are on my report will be handled under the Operations Committee. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask now, but the other items listed will come up during operations, sir.
Does anybody have any questions for the law director on anything else? Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it. Good job.
Thank you, sir.
Next, I noticed on my iPad, it's not on the agenda minutes, but it's in our packet. Is the road committee report. Let me make sure. Yes, road committee minutes. Chairman White, did you have anything you wanted to report, or you just want to let that report stand as submitted? It looks like you did have some motions, so perhaps you would like to give your report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let's let the report stand for itself.
Okay, everyone have the report in your packet. I'll just read over it real quickly. So, all right, with you, Mr. Chairman, I have it right in front of me. Meeting was called to order on March 9th, 2020. Commissioner Fritz made a motion to approve the minutes for the October 14th, 2019 meeting. Commissioner Isabel seconded, motion carried. Commissioner Isabel made a motion to accept two new roads from Brookside Bridge subdivision into the county road system. Seconded by Commissioner Fritz, motion carried. Commissioner Fritz made a motion to accept three roads in Walnut Hills subdivision. Let's go vote to accept the minutes as presented, as I just read. Mute yourself or the phones or your television if you can. I need a motion to accept the road committee minutes from March 9th. I have a motion by Commissioner Meade to accept the minutes as presented, second by Commissioner Yeager. Any other discussion on that? Let's go to the board and vote. Carry 16 yes, 0 no's. I probably need to add that to the agenda because it was not on the agenda, but it was in our packets. Jay, how do I handle that if you're still there?
Here, you just need to add something to the agenda. Just takes county commission vote.
Well, we just voted on it, but I didn't have, it's in our packet, but it wasn't on the agenda itself written.
Well, what is it? The road committee?
Yeah, road committee minutes.
That's okay. It was already on the agenda.
Oh, just making sure. All right, thank you. Next, we'll go into the committee reports. Veteran Service Advisory Committee, Commissioner Meade.
Yes, the Anderson County Veterans Committee had a meeting on the 13th of April at about 5 p.m. There were really a couple of issues, but first of all, I want to say that Leon continues to do a great job with the veterans of this county. He's working, I think, longer hours now than he did before the virus. He still has people that come to the office on a very careful basis, maintaining spacing, but he's getting a lot of things done, and we're really proud of him. There were a couple of issues. One, he has a part-time person that has been working 25 to 30 hours a week. 25 hours a week. And it went from 9 to 2. And what he's discovered is that from 2 to 3, when he's been being left alone, is when the phones start ringing off the hook for some reason during that hour. And he really needs him to be there. So he's requested permission to change him from 25 hours a week to 30 hours a week, which makes him full-time, but it doesn't bring in any significant cost. And in fact, the adjustment has already been reviewed and fits within the current 2019-2020 and the proposed 2020-21 budgets. So they asked to get permission from full commission, and I so move.
I have a motion by Commissioner Meade to approve the proposed change of the assistant working hours and status within the office. Do we have a second? Motion by Commissioner McCamey, seconded by Anderson. Any other discussion on that item? All in favor say, oh, we got to go to the board. Almost did it again. That would have been strike three. Yes is in support. No is against. (16) yes, 0 no's. Motion passes. Anything else, Commissioner Meade?
Yes, complete my report. There was also the request of the budget committee, which already has been approved, for a $3,000 transfer from part-time to cover costs through the end of this year. And that, again, doesn't require any additional funding, it was just a transfer. Again, Leon has done a great job, and I really appreciate his effort and his knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman of the Veterans Committee. Commissioner Meade, I compliment you. And I know Commissioner Fritz had a great meeting. The Budget Committee had a great meeting. Several operations, Commissioner Isabel using the virtual system. And I just want to compliment you all on the job well done. Thank you for the report. Okay, next Operations Committee, Commissioner Chairman Isabel.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First is Commissioner McCamey made a motion to put the Blockhouse Valley Farm lease back out for bids and open up to anyone who wants to bid on it. Commissioner Creasy seconded a motion. Motion passed unanimous.
Do we have a motion? Motion by Commissioner Meade to accept as presented, put it back out for bids, seconded by Commissioner Denenberg. Any discussion before we take action? Let's go to the board. Yes is to put it out for bids. (16) yes, 0 no's. Motion passes unanimously.
Commissioner Meade made a motion to approve the personnel policy document as submitted to include wording changes on page 5H. Second bullet to say county can allow, and third bullet to say county can permit. Commissioner Creasy seconded the motion. Motion passed unanimously to forward to full commission for approval.
I have a motion by Commissioner Yeager, seconded by Commissioner Meade, to approve as presented to the personnel policy. Any questions? Let's go to the board. Oh, okay. Oh, I thought somebody said yes. Let's go to the board. Motion passes unanimously, 16 yes, 0 no's. Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Creasy made a motion to approve the MOU for ACWA Vehicle Maintenance Agreement, seconded by Commissioner Meade. Passes forward to full commission for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Yeager to approve the resolution for authorizing, the vehicle maintenance for Anderson County Water Authority. Motion was made by Yeager, seconded by Commissioner Smallridge. Any questions? Seeing none, we'll go to the board. Motion passes 16-0, unanimous. Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Meade made a motion to approve resolution 20-04-812, authorizing the use of electronic meetings pursuant to the governor's executive order 16. Commissioner Yeager seconded the motion. Motion passed forward to full commission for approval.
I have a motion by Commissioner Denenberg to approve, seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Commissioner Meade, do you have a comment?
Yeah, actually, it should have come up at the beginning of the meeting. But at the title of this agenda, it says that we did this meeting in accordance with this resolution, but the resolution wasn't approved yet. I would recommend we change the title to say pursuant to governor's guidance on electronic public meetings and hearings, because this resolution was not yet approved.
Let me speak on that if you don't mind, Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely.
There's no need to make that change. It's in the body of the resolution. It's retroactive. It is not an ex post facto law. It's an administrative issue. So we went back, and every meeting we've had to this point is covered under that.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it. Does that cover your concerns, Commissioner?
Yes.
Thank you. Good point. Thank you for bringing it up.
I highly approve the passage.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, let's go to the board. Yes is to support the resolution to allow electronic meetings as we're doing. No is against. Motion passes 16 yes, 0 no's, unanimous. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Chairman Isbell.
Commissioner Yeager made a motion to approve the law director writing a resolution for the Asian carp. Motion was seconded by Commissioner McCamey. Motion passed forward to full commission for approval.
A motion by Commissioner Meredith to approve the Asian carp resolution as presented, seconded by Commissioner Denenberg. Any questions? Go to the board to vote. Commissioner Jamerson.
I'm muted too on my thing.
Just hit your vote again. Try it again. See if it'll go through.
I vote yes.
Is his iPad maybe died on him?
I don't know. Y'all go ahead.
It's all right. Brian's going to take care of you. We're allowed to do this. No.
Give me one moment.
No problem.
It still shows him connected.
Commissioner Jamerson, you want to try to vote one more time? I know you've probably done it a couple times.
Can I just vote by voice?
I think you can. Can he vote by voice?
Well, I mean, he can, but then I won't be able to tally it if he doesn't come out of the system. He's still in the system.
You want to clear the board and try it again?
Yeah, let me clear the board. Now, the votes that are already in right now, when I clear this board and go backward, when I bring it back to vote, your vote is going to remain in there. So don't panic when you see.
Okay, so the only one that needs to vote is Commissioner Jamerson when we reset. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Commissioner Jamerson, you're the only one that needs to vote.
And Tracy, you as well. I don't see your vote either, Tracy.
Oh, golly. Okay, I'll vote. Sorry.
My screen has gone black, and so I'll just pass on this vote.
Brian? Sounds like he's died.
Yeah, I think he has.
On black.
He said he'll abstain on the vote.
15 yes, 0 no's. Motion passes. Go ahead, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Wandell made a motion to forward the MOU for the senior center to the law director for review and present back to operations or full commission for approval. Motion was seconded by Commissioner Yeager. Motion passed to bring to full commission for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Meade to approve.
That's correct. And I reviewed through this and it looks really good to me. And if we shouldn't need to make any little midterm corrections, we can do that in the future.
Okay, good comments. Thank you. Commissioner Denenberg, seconded. Any comment? Any comments? Board and vote. Commissioner Jamerson, are you still there? like to record your votes verbally, just for the record? How would you like to vote on this vote? Okay, thank you. So please, Kim and team, if you'll record Mr. Jameson's votes verbally as requested, only that his voting apparatus has died on him. So I don't want him to feel like he's not really absent. So the last two votes for Commissioner Jameson is yes. This motion passes visually 15-0. Anything else, Mr. Chairman, on the operations?
Yes, under old business, Commissioner Mead made a motion to establish a group consisting of Commissioner Yeager, the sheriff, and 2 field officials to work with the architect to present ideas for consideration for a single entrance to the courthouse for security reasons to full commission. Second by Commissioner Yeager, motion passed.
Ryan, is this the old board we're looking at, or is this new?
This is old.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Scott to approve the single entrance as presented, seconded by Commissioner Smallridge. Any questions, comments?
It didn't show up in the minutes, but I'm actually part of that as well. So I made the presentation, so I guess they didn't put it here, but I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you, Mayor. And Mayor, you're in support of this? And I apologize, I didn't ask you.
Pardon?
Are you in support of this?
Oh, yes, yes. And I was saying that, I mean, when I came to operations to ask for that committee,
yes.
But I wasn't listed in there, so I just wanted to clarify that I would be working with that group.
Correct. Thank you very much. And you're on the security committee too, or is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Thank you for bringing that up, though. Apologize, we missed it.
That's okay.
Commissioner Mead.
Yeah, and in fact, I was going to say that the mayor is also on that group. This is not an approval to spend money at this point. This is just, significant money, but it is a chance to take a look at what our options are so we can look at this in some depth before we spend a lot of money.
Thank you, Commissioner Mead. Commissioner McCamey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to vote for the committee, but I'm opposed to a single entrance. Always have been, always will be. Thank you.
Sound like a commercial there. Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm all about the single entry. If you look at some of the other courthouses, such as Roane County and Knox County, just to be real close by, you'll find that it actually works for them. The front entrance of our building is the most logical location for that entrance to be because it is ADA compliant with that door as well as the ramp that leads to it. There's too many instances where we have meetings, smaller group meetings especially, after hours. And there's too many opportunities for someone to come in and do anything that's unfortunate. The building should be a little more secure than it is right now. We should have a single entrance doorway. And I think it's good that we've got this committee on hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott. Good comments. Appreciate it. Commissioner Creasy.
Yes, along with Commissioner Mead, Shane, and the rest of the security committee, we were all in attendance and supported the single entrance. And for many of the reasons that Commissioner Scott just mentioned, the judges, the courts, and all are very much in favor of moving that to the front entrance and having a single entrance. The security of all of our employees are demanded, in my opinion. And it's time we moved on that and be in step with the other courthouses in the state. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Creasy. Great comments. Anyone else? Let's go to the board. Yes is to support moving forward with the plan of a single entrance. Is that correct, Commissioner Meade or Commissioner Scott?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Jameson, you back in? All right.
Are you wanting to amend, Jameson?
It shows he's in, or
it looks like he's trying to make an amendment.
oh, I'm sorry. I think he's probably trying to vote, but accidentally. Commissioner Jameson, are you wanting to amend this motion?
No, I don't want to amend it.
Yes, sir. Okay. Let's go to the board for.
It won't go to where I can vote.
Okay, he hasn't pushed the button yet. Hang on, he's getting ready to make it to where you all can vote. Just hang tight. Go ahead, Brian. There you go.
Okay, I'm ready.
All right, buddy. Glad to have you back. (16 yes, 0 no's). Motion passes unanimously.
Yay.
Anything else, Mr. Chairman, of the operations?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And earlier, to begin the meeting, you were talking about, and thank you again for the kind words for Commissioner Denenberg and myself, but there's so many thanks goes out to the Sheriff's Department, Commissioner Val, Commissioner Anderson. There's been so many people that has worked on this project and so many volunteers. Commissioner Denenberg she's done a phenomenal job about getting donations and getting people to come in and work. And the EMS department, they just tell us their needs, and just by the grace of God, we've been able to fill them so far. And but every time I hear a siren, I think these are things that we're working on that's critical for our employees. Just like the Smithfield out there where, all 500 employees have tested positive. And I think with all the effort that we're making, just like with Mr. Chairman, with your wife and her sewing group, it's amazing. And Josh is taking up this fabric to have masks made, and the list goes on and on. I just want to say thank you to Anderson County for what they're doing. When you go out, you see people that's actually doing the social distancing. You see them wearing gloves. You see them wearing the mask. And then when you meet them in an aisleway, somebody turns around. But everybody's involved in this. Thank you.
No, great comments, and thank you. And I couldn't agree more. It's kind of humbling to be in our county. I think we got some great folks here. That's for sure. Thank you for those comments, and appreciate your great report there. And appreciate all you commissioners. I think that's it for operations. Now we're on to old business. Any old business, commissioners? Don't see any. Okay. We're going to go to new business, and we have an item for Commissioner Fritz, East Wolf Valley Convenience Center. Commissioner Fritz, sir, you have it.
I wasn't going to bring this up since we were having a meet like this, but after this past weekend, I decided, we can't wait. We've got to start meeting and talking about this and start doing something about it. But for the past 3 or 4 weekends, the East Wolf Valley Convenience Center on Saturdays has been totally full. And we're either citizens are being turned away and they have to take their garbage back home, or at the end of the day, people are have to take their trash, and they got a large open top dumpster bin there, and they're having to try to throw it way up over their head to try to get into an open top dumpster. And what got me this past weekend is that when I was out on the highway, backed up trying to get in, I noticed there was a very weakling looked like type. When I got there, toured everything, 81-year-old lady out there trying her best to throw her bag of garbage over her head up to the top of that open top dumpster, try to get her garbage up. He'd only get about not even halfway up, and it come back almost hitting her in the head. And she kept trying and trying and trying. I said, no, this ain't doing right. And finally, the time I got up there to her, someone already got there and said, ma'am, I'll take care of it for you. And they got it up there and threw it in the bin for her. And when I got up there and finally got there where I was trying to hold mine up there, I couldn't hardly get mine up there. I mean, it's unreal. We've got to take action, and we've got to do something to improve the condition at the East Wolf Valley Convenience Center. I mean, this is not just a one-time event, but for the past 3 or 4 Saturdays in a row, before the convenience center closes on Saturday, the convenience center is full, and the citizens are either turned away or they're heave-hoeing their trash up to and top of these large open top dumpsters. And we need to either refer this to operations and the solid waste thing, both, and let's start doing something about trying to improve the operating conditions of this convenience center. I even asked the guy at the convenience center, says, because when I was there, I keep seeing numerous 2 and 3 cars with the Knox County tags. I said, and I even asked him, I said, are you looking for the license plates and checking the driver's license, make sure these are not Knox County residents? I haven't had time, or I haven't been too busy. I mean, we've got to do something to help the citizens of District 1. And I mean, we've done a lot to the other convenience centers. And when I saw that poor little lady trying to throw her trash up and it coming back down on top of her and almost hitting her in the head, I said, we've got to do something. I mean, this is unreal, and especially when I couldn't even get mine up there hardly. And I move that we either refer this to both operations and the solid waste, and let's get something moving to do something better for this convenience center and for the citizens of District 1.
Is that your motion, sir?
That's my motion.
To forward to both operations and solid waste?
That's correct.
Have a motion by Commissioner Fritz. Is there a second to forward the East Wolf Valley Convenience Center?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott.
There it goes.
Okay, I apologize. Commissioner Fritz, I'm gonna let Commissioner Isabel and Dittenberg, just because they're on the system. Is that okay, sir?
That'd be fine.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Isabel's made the motion, seconded by Commissioner Dittenberg. Commissioner Scott, you have a question?
Yes. Is this, Chuck, is this the location in Claxton?
Yes.
Yes.
Did we not have an opportunity to buy more property right there too?
We had an opportunity, but we lost out on it.
Well, I think it needs to go to operations at least. And if anything, you guys need to find another site. If you can't get the land to be able to expand on that. I've been out there myself helping people whip their garbage up over the bins. And you're right, it's ridiculous. I thought we were going to be expanding that location. So there you go. Thank you, though.
Thank you, Commissioner Scott. Thank you, Commissioner Fritz. Any other discussion? I know Commissioner McCamey was in attendance for that property. It was next to the convenience center. It kind of went for a little more money than I think we thought. And but I know Commissioner McCamey has spoke in favor of it, and so has the mayor. So I don't think it's an issue. It's just a matter of finding a good location. And if anybody can find a good location, I think it's Commissioner McCamey. Any other questions on this motion? Seeing none, let's go to the board and vote. Yeses to forward it to the operations and solid waste. Commissioner Creasy. Thank you, sir. Sorry. Motion passes 16-0. Thanks again, Commissioner Fritz, for bringing to our attention. Any other new business? Seeing no other new business, no business before us, I'll adjourn the meeting of the Anderson County Board of Commissioners regular meeting Monday, April 20th, 2020. Look at there, April 2020. I didn't notice that. Thank you all for your patience and appreciate every one of you. Prayers for each one of you and your families. Stay safe and healthy. And have a good evening.